Yo guys, Punkrat on another video. Recently, I just made a piece about twinking. I said I was gonna hit you up with some more twink videos, and I promised that I will. In fact, here's the second addition to my twinking series. Initially, I was just gonna do a twink guide for this one, and I still have all of those planned out for the future. But I've been watching some videos on the topic lately, and I've noticed that a bunch of information out there between forum posts and different videos have a little bit of a misunderstanding when it comes to the best twink items in Classic. Most of the times, people will mention items with high stats or high item levels in respect to the bracket that you're in as the most broken items for twinks. And I've seen also a heavy focus on level 19 twinks specifically, while omitting some of the higher level brackets. And I don't think that's right, because the higher level brackets have access to some much more interesting items and gadgets. The most broken twinking items are those with amazing effects, on use or on hit. So for this video, I've compiled what I see as the most broken items in Classic WoW for twinking. Let's get into it. Alright, so first item that we're gonna cover is coincidentally one of the rarest items, if not maybe one of the rarest weapons in the entire game. And that's really not an overstatement. We're talking about the Pendulum of Doom. Now, if you look for this on the auction house, there's a pretty decent chance, especially if you're on a smaller server, that it doesn't exist, that there isn't even one available. This is because its drop chance is well under 1%. In fact, it's a fraction of 1%. It has one of the lowest drop rates in the entire game, similar to the Parrot Cage Hyacinth Macaw. It's actually a BOE trash drop similar to Shadowfang, but this one drops in Alderman. I know of people buying this weapon on my server from 800 to 1000 gold, and that's a level 39 blue two-handed axe. It's a level 39 twink item for shamans, paladins, warriors, but the most common of which tends to be shaman with a Wind Fury proc. I don't feel like I have to talk too much about why it's broken. I mean, if you see it here on the screen right now, look at the attack speed. It has a 4.0 attack speed with 187 top end damage. This is completely busted for level 39, but on top of that fact, it has a chance on hit to deliver a fatal wound for 250 to 350 damage at level 39. So if you happen to proc the weapon and also get an immense Wind Fury combo on top of it, considering the top end damage, you'll be hitting a power level that pretty much no one else can at level 39. I think this is one of the most uniquely powerful weapons in the entire game for its level. And if you have the gold for it, you might want to level up a level 39 twink and rock this bad boy. But in general, weapon procs like this are probably one of the most important things when it comes to twinking. We have items like Shadowfang, Venom Strike, Glacial Stone, and pretty much everything like that in the twink bracket, where it's an on-hit proc on your weapon, which happens to be really powerful for the level range. The Pendulum of Doom happens to be the most powerful of all. Alright, so this next item is similar, but rather than an on-hit effect, it's actually an on-use. It's something that back in the day in original Classic, you saw pretty much every rogue pre-60 rocking this thing. It was so popular, and if you played back then, you might have forgotten it over the years. And since it hasn't really been a phenomenon in Classic, at least to the extent that it was in original vanilla, I've still seen some people with it here and there, but this helmet might bring back some memories. We're talking about the Helm of Fire. This is a leatherworking helm that I believe you make with elemental leatherworking. You can use this on a rogue twink for the appropriate level bracket, but you don't specifically have to use it on a rogue twink. You can also have it as a cheesy item on a paladin, a shaman, or even a warrior, and also a hunter, although probably less useful there. Now, why is this good? Well, let's read the effect. So first of all, it's got great stats. It's got 17 agility, 10 stamina, and fire resistance. But the on use says hurls a fiery ball that causes the target to take 286 to 376 fire damage and an additional 40 damage over 8 seconds, so it applies a dot onto them. This is a situational item, but it can come in the clutch many times, and it doesn't have a super long cooldown. Okay, it's pretty long at 15 minutes, but like I said, if you just use it situationally, it can save your life or it can win fights for you. The beauty of it obviously is if you're getting kited, if you're in a frost nova, if you're in a net, if for whatever case you just can't close the gap, you can just use the helmet and shoot a fireball to finish off the enemy. And it's not just a weak fireball, it's actually significant. It does a good amount of damage. In the level 40 to 49 twink bracket, people usually have maybe like 1600 HP to like 2500, I guess, if they're fully twinked out or depending on what class they are. So this could do anywhere from 10, 15, even 25% of somebody's total HP, which I'd say is quite significant. If you have somebody low, they're running away, you can't close the gap, you can finish them with this. It's just a really cool item. It's something I never see people mention, but I thought I'd put a spotlight on it. Alright, now these next couple items are all from engineering. Realistically, I could probably put like 10 or 15 different items from engineering on top of this list, but instead, I tried to condense it and focus on the ones that I think are really special or really unique on a twink Twink. The first one that we have to talk about is by far the best, although it's only available for gnomes in the level 29 bracket, because at level 29 you're only able to get a max engineering of 225, and then the gnome racial is plus 15, so that sets them to 240, which is exactly what you need for this pattern. Or at 39 plus, everyone pretty much gets access to it. We're talking about the Gnomish Death Ray. Alright, nothing really else needs to be said, right? This item is broken at level 60, so imagine having this on a 29 gnome or a 39 gnome. I'm not kidding when I say you can legitimately one-shot enemies with this. 100 to 0, nothing else needs to be done, boom, job's done. It's really hard to find actual in-game footage, although I was able to find one clip of it, and if you check it out here, you'll see this warlock uses it on the enemy, and it does a flat non-crit 2000 hit on his enemy, legitimately one-shotting him. This is something that honestly, somebody out there has to make a 39 or a 29 Twink and just make a montage or a PvP montage video, death raying people over and over again in a comedic fashion. But we don't really have to say too much about this. The Gnomish Death Ray is by far probably the most overpowered Twink item in the entire game. Now the next ones that we're going to highlight really quickly are the Gnomish Battle Chicken and the Mechanical Dragonling. These are trinkets that allow you to summon a combat pet to assist you in battle. What's great about them is not only do they last long along your side, but they hit really hard for the level range once again, and that's kind of the trend of what makes a good Twink item. The Battle Chicken does significant damage at level 60, so again, imagine having it on a lower level character. The last engineering item that I want to cover is, of course, the Mind Control Cap. But why not all of these other engineering items that you could have chose? Well, because the Mind Control Cap is beauty in the sense that it allows you to take control of an enemy player, and what's so great about that in the Twink bracket is a lot of the times there's going to be a Twink on the other side, and Twinks are absolutely broken, obviously. So imagine being able to take an enemy Twink who's completely buffed up and doing crazy damage for the level range as your pet hitting your enemies. It really doesn't get any better than that. In fact, on a private server a couple years ago, I had a rogue Twink that I was playing, and I cast the Mind Control Cap on an Orc Warrior on the other side. He was Fury, completely decked out, Crusader on his weapons and everything. I mind controlled him and was stun locking the enemy that I was fighting, and the mind controlled warrior was just blasting with crits alongside me, and it was just one of the most satisfying things I've ever done. So I'd say this is probably one of the most broken things that you could do in general as a Twink. Alright, now staying on the line of professions, there's two more items under blacksmithing that are worth getting on your Twink. In fact, you might want to consider going blacksmithing and engineering together just to have access to the whole wide range of items available for you. The first one that we're going to talk about is really for warriors. They're called the Ornate Mithril Boots. They have an on-use effect that says removes existing immobilizing effects, so it removes pretty much everything on you, whether you have a Frostbolt, a Nova, it'll just get everything off of you, and then on top of that, it'll make you immune to immobilizing effects for 5 seconds. So it's basically like a paladin freedom that you can apply onto yourself for 5 seconds. Now obviously that's not the longest blessing of freedom ever, it's pretty short honestly in 5 seconds, but if you use it at the right time, when you have the ability to actually close the gap on your enemy, let's say a mage and he just blinked and you close the gap and you break the Nova and then you're just on him, he literally can't do anything, and all you'll really need is 5 seconds to put him in the dirt. So situationally, this is probably one of the best items on the list, and as a gnome, if you have Escape Artist plus these boots, then you're a pretty slippery dude. Now the next one we've spoke about probably a million different times. It's called the Glimmering Mithril Insignia. You can use this trinket to put 50 armor onto yourself, as well as making you immune to fear, giving you the fearless buff for 30 seconds. So it's a 30-second immunity to fear. It doesn't really need much more explanation. 30-second immunity to fear will allow you to absolutely clobber any priest and warlock in your way. So this is definitely something worth getting. Alright, now I promise this is the last item related to professions, but to be honest, it might be one of the most broken things that you can get access to on a Twink. Actually, we'll probably give that title to the Gnomish Death Ray, but this is definitely something that's widely available and one of the best parts about playing a Twink in general. Some of you guys might be smart enough to guess it. We're talking about bandages. Now, I know, obviously, bandages, what's so special about that? Well, the beauty, if you've noticed the trend about twinking, is that you're able to use higher level profession stuff meant for max level characters at really low levels. And the beauty about heavy runecloth bandages, which are the top available ones that you can get in the game, is you only need 225 to have access to them. These bandages specifically heal you for 2000 health over the duration, meaning if you can get out of combat, get around a corner for the amount of time that you need to cast the entire duration of the channel, you'll pretty much heal yourself up fully. You'll get from max health, even if you're at like 1% HP, and you can use them every minute, or you can even save a friend. Considering it's not only self-use, you can use them on allies. I guess it's kind of baseline knowledge, everyone knows about it, but if we're talking about the most OP items, it's an item, and it's one of the most OP things that you could do on a twink. Definitely belongs on this list. Alright, so you guys are tired of hearing about profession items. Let's talk about the really cool stuff. And some of these are definitely the coolest ones on the list, and they all happen to be trinkets. The first one is probably the hardest one to get in general. Honestly, it's like you're a nutcase if you get this on your twink, but I have seen some people actually do it. We're talking about the Defender of the Timbermaw, meaning you got exalted with a Timbermaw hold on your level 49 twink. I told you, you had to be a nutcase to follow through with this. This is actually a really good trinket, especially for melee, in a similar sense to the Gnomish Death Ray or the Helm of Fire. What it does is you can call a Timbermaw ancestor to fight alongside you and heal you. The beauty of it is that pet that you're summoning has range attacks. He casts lightning bolt on your enemy and he'll cast, I'm pretty sure it's like a healing wave or something, or maybe like a healing touch on you, and it hits pretty hard. So if a mage is kiting you, if a hunter is kiting you, you can bring this guy out and he'll just start casting lightning bolts and healing you up as you're getting kited. Again, something that's viable at level 60, imagine having it on a 49. And of course, you can also use it on a mage as well. While you're blasting enemies from afar, you also have a dude next to you, a pet next to you that's casting lightning bolts to supplement your damage. You're a complete psycho if you grind this, but somebody's gonna do it and it'll be pretty damn cool. Okay, so this one, you've heard it a million times before, but generally when people are talking about this item, they're talking about it within the context of max level characters. The item is Tidal Charm. The beauty of it is the requirement to use it is below level 40. I think it's level 36. This is by far one of the top 3 PvP trinkets that you can get on any class in the entire game at level 60. So imagine having this on your 39 twink, on your 49 twink, whatever it is, it's broken. Everyone knows where this is from. You get it from Prince Najjak, who's in the ocean just south of Arathi. Pretty much impossible to get, especially on a big server, but there is a chance that you might pick it up, and if you're really willing to dedicate for it and you want to get it on your twink instead of your level 60, I mean, it might be an option. It's an on-use effect that allows you to stun your enemy, and it's from ranged. So as a hunter, you can cast it on your enemy and then blast them in their face. As a mage, same thing. You can stun your enemy from, I think it's like 15-yard range use, and then cast a big combo on them. As a warrior, if you're getting kited, you can stun them and then close the gap, or when you actually do end up closing the gap, stun them and just clobber them. It's super good. It's good on every single class there is, and probably one of the best twink items in the game. The next trinket that we're talking about is, again, something we've seen in the level 60 meta, which you can use in the level 40 bracket. It's called the 6 Demon Bag. It's a trinket that when used has a chance of casting one of 6 abilities. A Frostbolt, which is obviously just a Frostbolt that slows and damages your enemy, a Fireball, which sends out, I'm pretty sure it's like a Pyroblast animation that hits pretty damn hard, a Chain Lightning, which is a Chain Lightning, a Polymorph Sheep, which is really nice, it can swing the battle. Imagine not being a mage and being able to polymorph and reset the fight. A Whirlwind, and what this is basically like a Cyclone from the Burning Crusade, except rather than making the target immune, it'll stun them, so basically a stun. And then a Fell Hunter pet, which will come and aid you and chomp your enemy. It's like a bunch of different trinkets and on-hit effects that we've seen, like calling a pet or shooting a bolt, stunning somebody, except all tied into one. The RNG element makes it less reliable, but it's super cheesy and definitely worth having on a 49 twink. Alright, so here's the last one that we're going to cover, and probably the most obvious one. This you'll actually see everywhere, but we have to talk about it. We're talking about the AGM, Arena Grandmaster Trinket. You get this from the Stranglethorn Veil Gurubashi Arena. You have to win it 12 times, get the Arena Badge 12 times, and then you can hand it in and get the Arena Grandmaster Badge. The beauty of this is it's a level 55 item. It absorbs more damage than the Burrower's Shell. Obviously the Burrower's Shell has a 2-minute cooldown, but still, just to give you an idea of the actual strength of the shield, it's super powerful. And again, the beauty of it is you can use this on a level 19. 19 twinks generally have like 1200 to 1400 HP when fully twinked out with all of the enchants. If you proc the max potential out of that shield when you use it, it'll effectively double your HP pool, putting you close to like 2500. I've mentioned this before, so I don't talk too much about it. Everyone knows what it is. Everyone's fighting to get it constantly in the arena. But yeah, this is probably one of the most broken items that you can get on a Twink. There it is, guys. I think I've covered most of the interesting items which Twink should definitely focus on to have on their tool belt throughout the different level brackets. I tried to split the list from weapons to trinkets to profession items and stick away from the typical lists that are saying Shadow Fang, Gravestone Scepter, and pretty much everything that everyone already knows about. A lot of those items are pretty simple. You just get them or buy them off the auction house and job's done. They're the most common items that pretty much everyone's been investing in before phase 2.5 to try to make bank on. But I'd say most of the items on my list aren't really spoken about so much within the context of twinking. A lot of them you'll think of as level 60 items, or some of them are just kind of random. But the beauty about twinking is being able to use these level 60 meta items on lower level characters and becoming absolutely broken. That mixed in with the fact that you're using level 60 enchants a lot of the times is really how you take your character to an extreme level of power that can just dominate in the twinking bracket. You may be going against somebody who's twinked out just as much as you are, but if he doesn't have the same gadgets, he doesn't stand a chance. In fact, if you have the death ray and he doesn't, you're just gonna one-shot him. So that's pretty much the video. I thought there was a lot of interesting items on the list, and I hope that you enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Of course, you know the drill, soldiers. Hit the notification bell to be notified every single time I post a new video straight out of the render oven. And with that said, thanks for watching. I got some more twink videos on the way, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.